And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. I'm Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
And this is Dan. Both of us are real estate agents that span the globe.
We do.
Depending on which direction you go. I'm in Arkansas. Dan is in LA. And we are both bearded real estate agents, which make us the perfect host for the show that someone created called the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. So thanks everybody for joining us. This show's a little bit different from other shows. If you're watching this live, you can actually comment just like Mario Flores did. He said, "What up, guys?" He's on YouTube, and I can display his comment just like that. You can also comment on Clubhouse. So we broadcast this show at the same exact time as we are doing the show live on Clubhouse. And then we can, like, everyone will be able to hear your audio. So if you're in the Clubhouse room, feel free to raise your hand if you have any comments about what we're talking about today. If you're already on stage and you want to add to it, I will try to look at the speakers that are on the stage. If you're flashing your mic, I'll try to come to you if you want to add anything to it. So I appreciate you guys being there. And you can also watch us on Facebook, which Christina M. Smallhorn is doing. She said, "Hi, Dan."
Hi, Dan. We didn't have to mention tiny houses or
yeah, no, not yet. Maybe she'll chime in from her YouTube channel if that happens. Yeah. But thank you guys for joining us. We've got a ton of good headlines again this week. We're going to talk about the CFPB rule. They have a foreclosure ban that they want to put into place until 2022. And we're going to see if this actually goes through. We'll talk about the ramifications with it, and hopefully we'll add some of the folks from Clubhouse to that conversation so that they can chime in, weigh in, and let us know what's kind of going on in their area. Producer Matt will pull you up for that stuff. We're also going to talk about the housing inventory. It's down, and we have the number. We'll tell you the number when we get to that story. I think you'll be amazed.
Yeah, 100. They will be for sure, because we all know it's not a super crazy thing to say it's down, but the number is pretty insane. Yeah,
we have refis that dropped. We'll also take a look at the purchase applications and see what happened there. Mall vacancies. Mall rats are going to be in an empty mall. Aren't they redoing I almost said SpongeBob. Aren't they redoing a Silent Bob Strikes Back type of show? You know what I'm talking about? Jay and Silent Bob. Aren't they redoing mall rats, like updating it?
I think so. And then, I mean, there's been a research because it's, 80s are a big thing again right now. And like, what's the show? Stranger Things. They had season 3 was all in a mall essentially. So I'm hoping we'll see what the story says though, but I'm hoping.
Apparently they have lots of places to shoot because malls are empty. We're also going to talk about how, March Madness has been going on with homes, as we all know, and they're selling fast. Just how much faster? So we're going to cover all these news stories. If you're,
by the way,
a real estate professional,
congrats to Gonzaga on a perfect season until they lost at the very end.
Until they lost to the team that Arkansas lost to. So
technically, Arkansas's the second best team.
It almost feels like we're the second best team. Yeah. If it hadn't been for Houston making the second round, but I think we played them better. Anyway, if you feel free to come up on stage and let us know your thoughts on all things. But before we get into all these stories, and I should mention, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're like, wow, when will this endless banter end? You can always scroll down if you're watching the replay and you'll see timestamps with all the articles that we cover. You could just click the timestamp and zoom right to that article, or you could wait on the BMORE chops. So every week we will segment out each pieces of these discussions and articles, and then we'll release those separately. And what's the other thing we do? Oh, yeah, this is a podcast. So if you want the audio only version, you can also search your favorite podcaster or just tell your smart speaker to play the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show podcast, and you'll be pleasantly surprised with our beautiful voices filling your homes.
Well, one beautiful voice and mine.
That's right. But before we get into all that, Dan, would you tell everyone what this show is actually all about?
I would love to. Now, when Ray and I met here on the interwebs, forever ago. We're just calling it forever ago at this point.
Yeah, it was a while.
I had an idea for a show because I am, in fact, a bearded man in real estate. But when I met Ray, I noticed something very interesting about him.
Oh, what was that?
He loves vintage furniture.
Actually, if you look at my background, you will see a leather couch that is not, it's not vintage, but because I couldn't afford the vintage version. And I don't even think it's real leather, but it looks like the old couches that you see in studies. So yes, the desk that I'm on, I need to update Instagram because I haven't in a couple of days. But the desk that I am on is a hand-built desk out of what looks like to be copper pipes and wood. So I'm
love it.
Very into this vintage look. But what's that have to do with the show, Dan?
Just I'm always trying to surprise Ray every week, and I'm trying to find something where he goes, you know what, I don't have anything for you there, but every week I come up with something silly, and he's got some story based on it. So, but no, obviously I noticed Ray is a very, very lovely bearded man. But he had a layout for the show, and it's the same layout, same format we do today. But I also noticed that he loves giving value up front to not only his clients, but also to other human beings. So the show's about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
Right. And one of the things we think is being more, especially to your clients or even as a human, is just knowing what in the world is going on. And so that's why the show is focused on the economy, the markets, the housing markets, and exactly what's taking place so that consumers can make better decisions, and hopefully so that real estate agents and those in the real estate industry can guide consumers to making those better decisions and saving thousands of dollars. Unlike Susie Orman, who guides people the wrong direction, in which they would be paying 40% more than they were had they bought last year, which is what we said by last year. Yep. She said, wait till this year. Congratulations, Susie. You're wrong again. Anyway, we like to
very wrong. By the way, not just our opinion is that she was wrong. She's wrong. Like undoubtedly more. How can you be more than wrong? Like she was horribly wrong. So yeah, stop.
Christina did a video recently, a year later. I did a video last year. Christina did like a year later update at just how wrong was she. It was pretty good.
That's good.
Melissa Mars joined. She says, hi, Dan. Christina said she's always lurking. Good. Melissa Mars says, or a rat in a blow up from the front of my town hall. What?
There's a blow up rat, a giant blow up rat in front of her town hall.
Well, you got to take a picture and submit that. Producer Matt loves Stranger Things. Pete says finally, and he was Norm says he's lurking with Christina. That's your dad.
Norm's always lurking with Christina.
Dan Stad's joining the show live. All right, well, thanks everybody for joining. Dan, are you ready to get into these headlines?
I am.
Let's do it. There you go. Christian Harris said he's another lurker right there. He's joining us on Facebook. Well, thank you guys for joining us, but it would really help us if not only you would lurk, but you'd also share the show.
And do that over on YouTube. That would really help.
Yeah. Well, you can't really share the YouTube to Facebook because they're not friends.
Yeah, no. But you can
hate each other. But
yeah, whatever. You can comment and you can help boost us over there. Except for Norm. You can don't just stay right here on Facebook. It's fine. Let's not overthink this. You're good.
Oh. Okay, so let's get into this first article. Housing inventory is down 40%. Oh, that's not the right one. I got the wrong link. Hang on. Hang on. That's smooth.
All right. We'll just edit that out. We're good. Wait, ready?
Let's go. It's so fast. Okay. So the CFPB, which is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, proposes foreclosure ban until 2022. So they're amending Regulation X to give servicers and homeowners more time to work through options. So the CFPB released a notice proposed rulemaking, and there's a link to it. If you go to Housing Wire, you can see this article and the link. It was on Monday that would amend Regulation X to provide special pre-foreclosure review period, prohibiting servicers from starting foreclosures until after December 31st, 2021. So under the CFPB,
not to cut you off, sorry, I feel like that's too late to have this pre-scan come in. It should have been 8 months ago.
And I feel like responsible servicers were doing that 8 months ago, but I think maybe there's some servicers that aren't responsible, that they're trying to make them bend to their rules, so they got to put the rule in place so they do good stuff.
Right.
A borrower must be 120 days delinquent before the foreclosure process can start. Nearly 2.1 million households are in forbearance or past the 90-day delinquent mark. And this is a quote. What we're proposing would be that you wouldn't have to evaluate someone for every possible available option, so long as the options you offer them have certain safeguards. That's Diane Thompson. She's a senior advisor and acting CFP director. Similarly, in the spring of 2020, the CFP engaged in rulemaking process that laid out new guidelines for servicers, which I think we did cover that.
Very early on, we covered the guidelines. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Usually, let me go to one of these other quotes here. All right. One common way to make payments more affordable is you just extend the amortization time, how long people are making payments, Thompson said. So it would be under a proposal that a period you could only extend out is another 40 years, and the payment after capitalization interest rate changes could be no more than their current payment. So basically taking the amount of delinquency, rolling it back into their loan, and then extending out their payments 40 years. So that's just, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different options. You can go to the Housing Wire article to kind of see more of what they're talking about. I really wanted to get the opinion of some of the realtors and some of the lenders in the group. What could this do to our marketplace? We already know that we're short on inventory, and now we have millions of foreclosures that normally hit the market that are not hitting the market. We have vacant foreclosures in our state that somehow are being foreclosed on and able to be foreclosed on. So I guess there's a rule that makes that okay. Are you seeing a lot of foreclosures in your market, Dan?
Yeah, we see them. They're coming. They're looming. So I'm not seeing any as far as like when I'm just looking at buyers and stuff, but because I don't limit, before I think I said on the show last week, like in 2012 and 13, it was kind of 50-50. There was a lot of the short sales and foreclosures. So you kind of had to the search was still there, but you had to let your buyers know like, hey, this is a short sale or a foreclosure. Here's the process there. I just don't see many, right now. Yeah. My questions because our brokers they're big in the foreclosure game. So they see them coming. They're getting more and more activity. The emails are up, the calls are up. So I think that says something for the coming months, but sorry, Ray, go ahead.
I was going to ask, are they up compared to what they would have been had there not been a moratorium? That's my question.
Yeah. And it's the biggest thing to me is when is it? Yeah, I think because there was a definite hold where there was nothing, but then about 3-ish months in, they started getting more and more calls and emails. So 7-8 months ago. So I think it's looming. I think it's it has to happen. I think it's going to happen. My biggest question is, kind of two things is the people that could pay but didn't pay, how are they going to get through this unscathed? You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like the people that could pay that didn't pay, like I know firsthand of some people that took their mortgage payment and invested it for a while because it's zero penalty for them to go into forbearance and just not pay. Right. And then they're going to take it out of the investment.
And then what do they do though? Does that go on to the end of the loan? Do they start paying again? Do they catch up? What do they do?
I think that's the part that's up to the servicer. The CFPB is trying to make sure that they try to make a deal with everyone, right?
Right. And that's going to be tough with, what'd you say, 2.3 million?
1 million. Yeah.
And then my next question is, and we'll get to it in another article. I'll have this same question again, but if anyone's going into, I mean, we don't want anyone to be homeless, but a foreclosure, when you have $100,000 or $200,000 in equity, why not take advantage of that, the time that we're in, and sell that home instead of letting because now correct me if I'm wrong, but any equity you have after fees and penalties and all that stuff, that goes back to the homeowner, right? If you do get foreclosed on, right?
Right.
So why not just sell the home, and just through a regular real estate agent like Ray and I, and then just take your equity so you don't have to go through the penalties and the foreclosure and the credit hit and all that stuff. That's what I'm not saying like, let's do that. I'm just saying, why doesn't that happen, or why isn't that happening more? That's what I'd like to see. Obviously, the biggest question is, where do I go? Where do I live? Because rentals are hard to find and purchases are obviously hard to find, but there's going to be I think a boiling point where those things come to a head where, do I go into foreclosure and go through all that and lose this home forcefully kind of, or do I just sell the home and take advantage? I don't know. That's the biggest question that keeps rattling around in my tiny little brain.
There's a lot of people that supposedly have equity in it, unless maybe you've lost that equity over this last year by doing something. But there's a lot of people.
How could you lose?
I mean, there's a cash out refi, right? There were a ton of refis that were happening, so I could see that happening. If somebody did a cash out refi, they no longer have that equity because they took the money out. Maybe they lived on the money. That could be a problem.
Yeah,
but then they're going to sell their house. Yeah. Then they're going to sell their house over market value.
Right. And then that'll cover all the penalties and fees. And then they still have the cash out from the refi, right?
So then their problem is finding somewhere else to live.
That's the biggest thing to me, is because rentals are tough to find. I have more and more people now, it seems like buyers that kind of waited too long and now they're a little bit priced out. They're like, hey, can you find me a rental for the next year? And then rentals are very difficult to find as well.
Dulciana Jones, she says, after people exhaust forbearance, the servicer are giving out loan mods heavy. Yeah, and I think that's what they're being forced to do by the CFPB. There's another article on CNBC.com that says Consumer Protection Agency cracks down on mortgage servicers that don't assist struggling homeowners. And it's kind of a little bit of the same article talking about how they're forcing people to do loan modifications and to do whatever they can to keep, or they're not forcing people, they're forcing the servicers to do loan modifications and trying to make it work for everyone. Jeremy James, he has a question or a comment. He says, make a deal with everyone, but are those deals workable?
Right.
That's a good question. If they can extend it out 40 years, then you would think that the payment would either be the same or decrease.
Is it extended out 40 years or up to 40 years? So if you had a 30-year fixed, they can extend it another 10. Or if you have,
guy said extended out 40, but I think they meant up to. They had to admit up to,
because that's a 70-year loan.
Yeah. We have a special guest in the comments. Tim Macy hasn't been with us in a while. Tim Macy of the Tim Macy Show, #WhiteBoxing. He says, oh, hey. And he said, Texas foreclosures are back on. So the federal foreclosure moratorium officially ends in June, but this would bump out some foreclosures until 2020. Jeff Reagan says, when I read the Fannie and Freddie breakdown of forbearance, it said that the servicer is required to offer you the option to add an entire unpaid amount to the end of the loan. Are you guys understanding that different? No, that's what we understand, and also what we read whenever those first guidelines came out. So this is just saying that now they can't foreclose on anyone until they're 120 days delinquent, and they have to make the effort to give them every possible option besides foreclosure to start.
Now but Fannie and Freddie, though, that's just government backed. So Dulcinea says it above. That's good. What about private lenders? They're trying to force them to.
Well, that's a good question. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, because Jeff, by the way, that's my buddy Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah,
we have. It doesn't happen because the agent who sold them the home didn't educate them on the proper exit strategy when, if things hit the fan. Yeah. Well, let me get to a couple of the Clubhouse comments too, because I know we have some people raising their hands.
Oh,
there.
Cool.
Let's see. We have Matt and Nico. They are flashing their mics. So I'm going to go Nico first, and then we'll come to you, Matt, just a second. Let me bring it up here. All right, Nico, man. The mic. What do you think?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How you guys doing? So my last short sale was actually, ironically, April of last year. Short sales in our market, foreclosures in our market, are few and in between. I haven't seen one in a while. And it's been like that for a while, and that's North Jersey, the North Jersey area.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing too. We haven't had nearly as many. So I'm wondering, is this going to have a flood, or are they going to trickle onto the market? Matt, I want to come to you next.
Trickle.
So you flashing your mic. What say you? What's this foreclosure moratorium going to do? The extension of it to pause these until 2022. What's it going to do?
Yeah, I actually was wanting to comment on what you were talking about before. A lot of people, have the equity built, and while we're sort of, at the height of the market, I have seen several people who are in forbearance, who are way behind on their mortgage, who have actually done exactly what you're talking about in the Nashville area. I'm an investor here, and the last 3 deals that I've analyzed have all been that sort of a situation, where they're, over 120 days behind on their mortgage, and they wanted to cash out while the market was really hot.
So are you using this as almost like a lead gen strategy, I guess you could say, like where you're helping these people out of a bad situation because the market timing is right?
Essentially, yeah. So I didn't actually end up biting on any of those deals because they were needing quite a bit to be able to move on to a new housing situation. But that is typically what I try and do for those guys. And that's what most investors in this area are trying to do in terms of foreclosures.
Yeah, it does remind me of the time that Dave Ramsey talks about when they would just go into the folks that were in the short sale trouble. They would be able to kind of deliver them from the short sale by going near market value for their home at the time. Then there was a long period of time where that just wasn't working. And, I tried to do several short sales for some of my buyers and sellers. I had one that went 18 months and the bank said, nope, we're going to foreclose. We're under contract for 18 months. And the bank was like,
That's
nope,
so
we're going to foreclose.
crazy.
So I'm interested to see now, is that going to be any different? Are they going to be more readily making the deals again, kind of like what they were in 2009 and 10? They'd make a deal pretty quick. So CD, did you want to comment on this topic specifically?
Yeah, actually, I would love to comment on it. Thanks for having me. Great platform. I jumped in when I saw the live foreclosure ban and the having some understanding of the moratorium. You guys are all absolutely right. But with the moratorium and short sales, there's really no incentive for a bank to do a short sale because banks make more money when you're in default. They get their mortgages paid off. Their principal balances are paid off on numerous occasions. They're paid off through repurchase agreements. They're paid off through the PMI. There's all types of insurance that's involved in a default situation. And I know that because I used to be a banker and I've done quite a few of those deals. So there's really no incentive for the bank to do a short sale. And that's why it's been so tough. One gentleman just said that he had a property involved in a short sale for 18 months. And then at the 18 month, they said no deal. Of course, you know why? Because they already made their insurance claims and they already got paid their principal balance twice. Now they want the property. Greed.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good word. Thanks for coming. CD was in another room in the real estate networking, and I told him that he sounds like Denzel Washington. And he was like, "My man." I was like, "Yeah, that's perfect."
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so man,
that's interesting thing there. So what's it going to be about? The more money, kind of what he's talking about, or the actual consumer, the actual owner of that home, and what's best for them? Because I always wondered why, when they have the option to short sell it, because technically right now, or hypothetically right now, short sales shouldn't be a thing, right? If everyone has all this equity, unless you cash out, refied, and went too big like they were doing in the early 2000s. But they shouldn't be a thing right now. So then why wouldn't they just, I don't know. It's less of a hit, but there you go. There's your answer. They make more money off the foreclosures, off the troubled loans.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That short sales default, guys, is a tremendous business. I mean, loan mortgage defaults is a huge money maker for all servicers. And they have so many different ways of targeting people who are in default. Now, here's going to be the big thing. The big thing now is if you're in trouble and you have tons of equity, you're not going to get any help because the banks, they got this data. Everything is data now, and they've identified the wealth of the nation. They know who has equity. They know where all your money's at, and you're going to be targeted because they want a transfer of wealth, and they're going to use that. They're going to use homeowners who have tons of equity. If they haven't paid, and you can't come up with a large sum of money somehow to bring your account current, they are not going to work with you. You're going to lose that house. You're going to lose that equity. And that's their major goal. Their major goal is to capitalize on that opportunity.
Okay, so
I have a question.
Hang on just a second, Pearl. Dan, what were you saying?
So if that's their major goal, then this CFPB thing is misguided, right?
Or, well, it's saying wait and don't foreclose. So it is actually trying to.
Okay. So maybe they know something.
Yeah. Pearl, what were you going to say?
Okay. I guess I have one. I'm hearing my own echo.
Oh, sorry. Hang on.
Okay. I think I have one comment and one question. Okay. Well, actually, I have two questions. Okay. Ray, are you in Little Rock, Arkansas?
Yeah, I am.
You are? Okay, I was there. Whatever. But anyway, okay. My one comment is that it is not easy to write a hardship letter to get a short sale going. That's for one. And for two, well, I guess then my question would be, what happened if it's a private financing, like a seller financing, like a land contract, and you couldn't pay? And can with this federal ban going on, can the private seller, foreclose? I mean, does the
Yes.
private seller have to deal with? Does the seller have to deal with the deadline?
From what we are getting in our comments, Jeff Reagan said that he read that the private lenders are not required to follow any of it, and that does make sense because only the regulated lenders would be, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a
Thanks.
question.
Next time you're in Little Rock, let me know. And who said they had a
Okey-dokey.
question? Was that you, Julie?
Yeah, whenever. Yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, I was listening to something on this very conversation last evening, and in the Breakfast of Champions just this past week talking about with the NODs, is that what they're called? Or the NDs? I never thought about the short sale part of it. That makes perfect sense because there's going to be equity. But I've been hearing about modifications, putting it on the end of the loans, and also 40-year mortgages. But I don't know if that's just pertaining to the government-backed stuff, and then everything else is kind of up for grabs. Because I saw statistics last night showing that the government was protecting the VA, anything government-backed, and then the stuff that wasn't was not. So maybe you've already spoken about that, and I came in late. But those are my questions, thoughts.
Well, we'll have to look up that if it is. I think it's all the servicers who are being regulated. So I think a private lender is out, but I think it's a servicer that's regulated by the government. I think they would have to go through the same process, no matter the loan type in that instance. But I could be wrong. So
because remember, a private lender is not necessarily the servicer of that loan. They could sell it off.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, that's true. Selling notes is a big part of the business too. Jeff Reagan, who's now commenting on YouTube.
Thank you.
Thanks for moving over. He said, I'm shocked at the percent of people who are late on payments right now. Is the education on forbearance just not out there? Are these people 120 days late on non-Freddie and Fannie loans?
Well, it got convoluted because realtors immediately reacted to forbearance and kind of put out the wrong info. So it's very possible that info has never been corrected by and if they don't watch the Bearded Man Real Estate show, then, because we are the only ones getting out there in the proper way. But I'm kidding. But so it's possible that info got out there, and then that's what these borrowers, these homeowners have gone off of for the last year. So, and they just thought, well, I'm not going to get a loan mod, or I'm going to have to, because adding it on to the end seems the most. Your payment stays the same, and you just add on a few months or up to 40 years, not total, but up to another 10 years or whatever. But it seems like the most logical way to go. But maybe they don't have this information, and maybe they're not reading headlines. So yeah, it's a great question.
Dulciana said, I worked for the worst servicer ever. They must do waterfall first before they can go into short sale. The guy on Clubhouse is correct. She's talking about you, CD. There you go. And then she said they're forcing the waterfall first. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on.
Right. And to answer, didn't mean to cut you off, but to answer the other gentleman's question, the waterfall is part of the process. It's part of the system. But remember, it's all about intent and capacity. Those are the two key words. You got to understand that when it comes to services. And so let's say you have a home owner who wants to keep their house, right? They want to save their house. So when they provide their package, their loss mit package, and the servicer reviews that package, right? Now they've lost their jobs, or if the breadwinner passed away, things of that nature, there goes right out the window. That is your capacity, which means that you don't have the ability to pay. Okay. Your intent is there. you intend to keep your house, but you don't have the capacity to keep your house. So when intent and capacity sort of don't line up, you cannot give them a retention program. A retention program is a forbearance, a modification, a repay plan. When you guys talk about putting the loan on the back, putting the payments on the back of the loan, that's called a restructure. And let me tell you something about a restructure. It sounds very good. It sounds like, okay, yeah, you know, you're just going to put 6 months on the back of my loan, and then I'm going to start off fresh, right? But no, you're not. Actually, you're going to get the 6 months piled with fees, everything piled onto the back of your loan. You will not be able to pay any principal on your loan until those 6 months and all that interest is paid up in full. So you know, depending on how much equity you have in your house, you can actually go into what is called a neg amortization loan with a restructure. People don't know that, all right? Because you will not get credit going forward for any principal until all of those back payments are paid. That's key, and yeah. They don't tell the consumer this, but the consumer, the consumers are starting to read the forbearance letters, and they're getting them, and they're saying, "Whoa, I don't agree to this," you know, because it is a very sophisticated document, and in some cases, you need a professional, you need a high level real estate agent who understands this, or an attorney, or somebody in your family who works with a servicer who understands this. Because you could be signing an agreement and really, really putting yourself in a jam. Okay, now that's retention. So let's go with liquidation now. Liquidation is, remember, the key: intent, capacity. All right. Now you have somebody that says, "Hey, I don't want the house." So we know what his intentions are. He's not even asking for forbearance, you know, anything to keep the house. He's saying, get rid of it. All right. So how are they going to get rid of it? Okay, first thing you're going to say is, do you have another loan on the property? If you don't have another loan, so we don't have to compete with nobody, we don't have to pay nobody else off, you know what? Sign the property back over to us. We'll do a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Or we may even offer you cash for keys, give you some money to move. All right, so they're doing that. That's a big liquidation program. It's the easiest for the financial institution, and the homeowner submits to it. Okay, if they don't submit to it that way, the other option is a short sale. Now, the short sale is one of those things. It used to be big back in the days. I've done tons of short sales all around the country back since 2002 or 2001. And I've closed on short sales in every state in this country. So they were a big thing then. And at the time, banks were not utilizing and taking advantage of all of their resources. But now they are. So with these servicers, there's something in place called servicing agreements. And if the loan is securitized, then there's also another servicing agreement called the master servicing agreement. Because if it's securitized, now there's additional rules because that loan was sold off into the secondary market, and those investors have guidelines. So in many cases, you know, if the loan is in a security pool, then and the bank wants to do some type of loss mitigation, they have to get approval, or they have to buy the loan out of the security to do it. And when they do that, that is called making the loan a whole loan. A whole loan is when the bank owns it and it is no longer securitized. Now they have more power to provide loss mitigation options and make decisions. So a lot of these loans that are securitized, they really don't have the power to do a lot of things because there are two separate agreements involved there that they have to abide by: the servicing agreement and the master servicing agreement policy.
So in layman's terms, without getting in a ton of weeds, it's going to be a very complicated process for a lot of these servicers and banks moving forward, right? They're
absolutely
homeowners to understand all this stuff so that they don't get into trouble.
Exactly.
So that's a good word. So if you're a real estate agent, don't attempt to answer these questions alone. Get an attorney, somebody that can help your client. Because I think, especially reading, you know, an agreement in which they push the payment out to 40 years, that's going to be super important for you when they come to you in 5 years and want to sell it. And if they haven't paid any on principal by then, because of how that is structured, then you're going to be upside down, like you said, a negative amortization almost. I just want to build the. I want to point this out too. We had someone named Wealth Builder join our YouTube comments. He said, "Do you know if there are any negative effects on the credit score, et cetera, to do the loan modification up to 40 years?" He says, but any kind of loan modification or restructuring for someone that comes out of forbearance.
I'd have to say no. I mean, it depends on obviously why they went into forbearance, but it has to be no. You can't penalize someone.
You would think that.
Right,
unless the normal rules change, then probably not.
Right.
I know it's a 3-year penalty if they short sell, it's 7 if they do a foreclosure, but I'm not sure if they restructure, if there's anything negative other than maybe their debt to income ratios changing and all that stuff that's happened in the last year. Pete,
I have a question.
I have a question as well.
Hang on just a second. Let me get to Pete Thorpe. He said 100% politicians will drag this in next year, and the CFPB will step in to make some noise, and then the 2022 political class will campaign on fixing the issue.
The very one they're creating.
Yeah, the very one that they're currently creating. That is an interesting conspiracy theory, but it, given these days, I'm not sure. Daryl Hamilton, let me answer his question too, and then I'll come to you, Pearl, and then Rich. Daryl says, what percentage of people are 120 days late? That's not in the article. It says that 2.1 million households are 90 days delinquent. So 2.1 million of all households, if somebody does the quick math, that'll give you the percentage of homes that are currently delinquent. All right, so let me bring back up Clubhouse here, and we'll get to Pearl. What was your question?
Oh, just a simple question. So I understood, CD. Thank you so much for your explanation on restructuring. Sounds like a trap that you don't want to get into. Is that almost the same concept as remodification?
Yes and no. It depends on how much you are past due on your loan. So when you apply for modification, of course, they'll ask you, can you make payments? Can you make 2 payments? That's the key. They'll always ask you for 2 payments. If you can make those 2 payments within the trial period of time, or you make the 3 payments within the trial period of time, that helps you to qualify. Any other payments that are past due, they will put it onto the back of the loan. So you get the modification along with the restructure, with putting those additional past due payments onto the back of the loan. They'll give you credit for the 2 or the 3 payments that you made, which qualified you for the mortgage payment. For the mortgage workout, which is called the trial period payment. I'm quite sure a lot of you guys have heard of this. They always want to put the person in the trial period payment just to see, are they going to comply with this workout? If you can make this payment for the next 90 days, then you qualify. That's kind of how it goes. All right. And so it's sort of like a preliminary test, and they see, and then you have a lot of homeowners.
So bottom line is that you still have to pay up everything before what you owe before you attack the new the
principal
before you continue.
Right. Before you can get your principal back on track, everything that was placed onto the back of the loan, you have to pay that first. So you won't notice that your amortization schedule and your principal payments, when you make your payments, you're not going to see that principal decreasing. It's not going to decrease at all.
That's good.
Right.
Thanks for the additional info, CD. I appreciate it, man. Rich, what was
All
the
right.
question?
Hey, Ray, thanks again, for this podcast in this room. I have a question for CD and also for any of the other speakers. But, from my understanding, negative amortization really works when there is equity to eat up. I guess my question is, who would write these loans if values decrease? I guess that question is for CD. Like, what happens if the rates keep going up and values decrease? Who would be even interested in writing these modifications?
Well, first of all, we got the government-sponsored entities who are going to force these servicers to do it, because it's going to be massive foreclosures. All right, so they got to play the game. It's the whole process. And so the modifications are going to be offered. In many cases, you guys already know this, it can take months, and in some cases, even years to get it. All right. In regards to the CFPB being sort of the watchdog over this, I'm not sure if you guys have ever done it, and you should. If you're an investor or you're a real estate agent, you're involved in the real estate market with residential properties at all, you should challenge one of these cases and file a complaint with the CFPB, just so that way you can get an understanding of how this process works. Now, I have done it on numerous occasions, and what I can tell you is that the CFPB will give you a call. They will investigate, but that is the extent of it. The only time that they'll really dig in is if you make it sort of like publicize it in the media. And if the media is involved, then you'll see that the CFPB will dig in and try to do more. But other than that, the CFPB will investigate. You will get a call, but that is the extent of it.
Unless you put it on an amazing media platform like the Bearded Men of Real Estate show.
By the way, super interesting to watch CD go through all this stuff and drop all this amazing knowledge. But then a consumer, my buddy Jeff, commenting along, going on, through YouTube, going, wait, this contradicts what I'm learning, what he reads, what everywhere he's seen. So it's totally opposite. It's interesting to watch this.
Yeah, somebody that actually knows what's going on versus the information that's being put out to consumers and the confusing nature of that. Yep. Exactly.
Interesting.
Well,
by the way, the only source, the only place you can see this and have this kind of interaction is here on the Bearded Man Real Estate Show.
That's right. So one of the big questions I have, yes, I would love for the people that are, Dulciana Jones says he's correct. CD's correct. Yes. More consumers need this, which is another reason why we put out the show. We want people to know what's going on. If you have a better understanding as a real estate professional, what's going on, hopefully you can be the guide to tell your client, no. Let's not extend it out to 40 years. You need to talk to an attorney first, just to make sure this is a wise decision mathematically.
Yeah.
So, and any of these other loan modifications that they're looking at, it would be wise to seek help in that. So thank you again, CD. I appreciate the additional info and all the questions. Those were great. Julie, Pearl, Rich.
And can I finalize it before we move on to the next article? Same thing, just with all, we do not provide tax advice. We do not provide loan advice. We like, so make sure you're going, we're here to provide these things. Right. We know some stuff. Like I always say it this way, like I know enough to be dangerous, but then I'm going to tell you, you got to talk to a lender to get that exact answer. You got to talk to a tax professional, an attorney, whatever. So yeah, I'm not saying that as a disclaimer for Ray and I'm just saying as an agent, you need to make sure you're giving out the right info, Susie.
But it's also a great disclaimer.
It is also a great disclaimer.
We're not giving out investment advice, but if you wanted to put your money into a podcast, we know one that you can invest in. All right. So, we all want people in foreclosure to get the information. We would love more people to be able to own their home and stay in their home, but there are going to be a certain number of people that just don't pay their bills. And Dan, right now we're at an all-time low on inventory. It seems to me that could help some of the inventory issues, but just how low on inventory are we?
You would think. That was a great segue, by the way.
Thank you. I was really.
Dang it! I'm not supposed to acknowledge our segues. Dang it!
That was a good one too.
I can't help it, but it was too good. So yeah, housing inventory is down 40%.
40%.
Wow! It's always been, well, not always, but it's been consistently 10%, 20%, but 40%. And I do have a question, by the way, when we go through this, but 40%. So if y'all want to run your numbers real quick, just a year ago, what you had, I did listing contracts a year ago versus from January 1st of 2020 to April 7th of 2020. And then the same period this year. It's very interesting. Just listing contracts. So listings taken. But prices are up sharply. And this article is from Housing Wire. If you want to go see that, go over to Housing Wire. They have some graphs and stuff. You can go into more detail that we don't always get into. But prices are up sharply as housing inventory continues to plateau, leaving 40% fewer homes on the market compared to last year. Dude. And that's a lot. And that is according to a report prepared by, I like that it's prepared by Black Knight. They're a data collection firm. Instead of making up for the shortfall, new listings have slumped further in 2021. Year over year, new listing volumes were down 16% in January and 21% in February, amounting to a $125,000 deficit in inventory compared to the same time in 2020. This is a quote from Ben Grabowski. He's Black Knight's. I don't know how to say Grabowski or Grabowski. Grabowski. I'm going to go with Grabowski. But he is Black Knight's data and analytics president. And he says, any hopes of 2021 bringing an influx of homes to the market and lessening pressure on prices appear to be dashed for now. Buyers who were fortunate enough to snag an available single-family home, new listings are down 46% from a year ago. They paid a premium. And this is why that little stat right there, new listings are down 46% from a year ago. That's why I ran my numbers on listings taken on contracts when they were taken. In February, the median single family sales price rose nearly 16% from last year. So if you didn't sell last year, man, I don't know. When are we going to hit the top is my question that I keep going to. But anyway, home prices in most big cities also increased due to low inventory. In nearly 3/4 of the 100 largest U.S. markets, annual home prices grew more than 10%. Overall, home prices grew 11.6% year over year in January, the most growth in a single year since 2005, Ray.
Nice. So it looks like now's the time to cash out if you're a seller, but also good luck in finding your next home. If you're wondering what to do, I actually have a series of reels. I need to finish that. I think I said that last week. I'm going to try to finish all those this week. But there's a series of reels about 11 things you can do to find your next home. It is possible out there, and we are helping our agents. I know great professional agents around the country are not having, I mean, it's difficult, but they're not having a problem getting their clients into homes that are selling. So
yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm having trouble with in the higher, when I go into that luxury market, but because I have a couple clients up there, but I'm doing pretty well, knock on wood. But so I want to go back real quick. So I did listings, listing contract date, January 1st to April 7th of 2020, 414. And this is just Rancho Cucamonga, just my city. 414 listing contracts are dated through those dates. Same period this year, 416. So it's not down this big number. There's still the same number of listings taken. I don't know where they are or what's going on, but I mean, and that's only 100 listings a month. So that's still low, but it's not incredibly lower than a year ago. It's not like we had 800 or 1,000 a year ago, and now we have much, much less. It's actually 2 more listings taken in the last, in this year compared to last year, which is really interesting to me.
Are you saying, Dan, that the great outflux of California has increased your listing inventory to be different from the rest of the world? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because so many people are leaving California that it's increased it by 2 listings in Rancho.
The reoccurring theme on our show. I'm going to go ahead and get straight into the next article too. Oh, I do have to say, LJ Lance Custon, he says that he's on Clubhouse right now. He said, this is a great question. If people aren't paying your mortgage, who's paying the property taxes and insurance that's not being put into escrow?
Right.
Yeah. Christina Smallhorn, she goes to the inventory. She says, we had 1,500 homes for sale in our county in 2020. We only have 198 homes for sale now. Half is proposed construction. Wow.
What?
So
okay.
that's a
little more dire.
Yeah. Yeah, no joke. All right. So we know as real estate agents, the inventory is down. We also know that there was an incredible amount of refinance activity last year, which brings us to the next article. Mortgage refinance demand drops 20% as rates rise to a 10-month high. This article is from CNBC. You can check it out. Mortgage rates moved higher last week, causing homeowners and potential buyers to pull back on borrowing. Overall mortgage application volume decreased 5.1% from the previous week. Let's see. As a result, applications to refinance a home, which were most sensitive to weekly movers, fell 5% and were 20% lower than a year ago. Let me get to mortgage applications to purchase, because a lot of our folks that listen to the show are real estate agents or people that are interested in buying and selling their home. Mortgage application volume to purchase a home fell 50% for the week compared to last week, but were 51% higher than a year ago. Look, they included what I've been saying for 2 weeks now. Quote from the article. That annual comparison will be very large for the next few months as housing market stalled almost completely last year at this time when the pandy shut down the economy. It rebounded dramatically at the start of the summer. So, yeah, this is a quote from Joel Kahn. He's the NBA economist. He said the rapidly recovering economy and improving job market is generating sizable home buying demand, but activity in recent weeks has constrained by quicker home price growth and extremely low inventory.
So I'm still back on the forbearance stuff. I have so many questions, but I'm going to ask those off air because we have things to do and businesses to run.
We have I got a CrossFit room to run on Clubhouse with Ronnie, so we're going to run over there and do CrossFit shortly. So,
hey, Ray, is your CrossFit, is it in a mall by chance?
It could be with all the space they have in there now that's not retail.
Wait, how do you know about that?
Why don't you cover the next article, Dan?
So stupid. By the way, stay tuned for the end of this article because I'm going to really ramp up the cheese factor. All right, good. Mall vacancies jump at fastest pace on record, hitting new high as retailers cull store counts. And this article is from CNBC. That's a shout out to Howard Stern if you've ever seen his movie. Anyway, if you noticed more darkened windows and empty stores at the mall recently, I don't go to the mall, so I don't know. I haven't gone to a mall since I was 17 or 18, so I don't know.
Yeah, they should have said if you're one of the few people that have noticed the darkened store. That's the situation.
Yeah, and by the way, we do have a couple, enclosed malls by us, and the traffic there is back now. They were empty, no cars in the parking lot for quite a while, but they're back. So I don't think we're being affected by that here. But and there's still people I know that go to malls, but me personally, I haven't gone to a mall. I don't shop, so maybe that's why. But if you're one of the few people, that's a Bearded Men of Real Estate show edit, that were at the mall recently and noticed a bunch of empty stores, you're not alone. The vacancy rate for regional malls in the United States hit a record 11.4%. By the way, not as bad as I thought it would be. For the first quarter of 2021 from 10.5% in the fourth quarter of 2020. And that is according to Moody's Analytics Commercial Real Estate Division. The 90 basis points increase marked the highest the firm has ever seen, surpassing the record 80 basis point spike in the first quarter of 2009 in the thick of the Great Recession. This is a quote. I'll get to his name in a minute because I can't find it. There you go. Victor Kalanog. I swear they're just making up last names at this point. But he is the lead of the commercial real estate economics division within Moody's. He says that malls are absolutely still on the ropes. And he goes on to say they were on the ropes even before the Rona. It's almost passé now to say that we have a record vacancy rate for malls because we've been breaking that record all year. The U.S. Has about 1,000 malls, which is a little low in my opinion. I thought we had more than that. But that's according to the commercial real estate services firm Green Street. Moody's tracks about 700 of them for their analytics. Shopper traffic to many enclosed malls, often situated in the suburbs, has dropped steadily over the years, with Americans spending more online. So again, kind of inevitable, but it's interesting to see the stats. This pattern was only accelerated by the global health crisis. Many of the retailers within malls, including department stores, have increasingly struggled to stay relevant with their customers. Last year saw several mall-based businesses, including JCPenney, Neiman Marcus, Lord & Taylor, Brooks Brothers, and J. Crew, file for bankruptcy protection. So one question, and then it wasn't the Rona that did this. They just didn't adapt to the online. They could have become. I always kind of said this about the post office. Like the post office literally there were mail. They could have literally cornered the market on email. They missed huge on there, but they're so archaic. They're so behind that they struggled. They're still selling stamps and all this stuff. They could have cornered the market. All they had to do, just USPS.com, get your Dan at USPS.com. And there you go. They have email as well. They totally missed the thing there. So I think that's part of it, but can you all join me in saying, because we all need to help here and pitch in to save these places. So can we all pitch in by saying, we all save the malls? We all
save the malls.
We all save the malls.
Melissa Mara says, there was a story recently that a mall south of me got notice that the power company was going to turn out the electric because they haven't been paying the bills. She meant article, but that's funny. There was a story recently. And then they're naming, the comments are terrible on this because they're just making me hungry. Jeffrey
Dippin' Dots.
Matt Clanton says there's Dippin' Dots, and he has pretzels, Cinnabon.
Oh, I want a pretzel now.
Okay. All right. Let's stop that.
Oh, Cinnabon kills it. Ellis finally jumps in and he starts with Cinnabon. Come on, man. Because when you go there, you got to get extra frosting. You have to.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So anyway, speaking of extra frosting.
Maybe I do need to go to a mall.
No, we haven't been in a while. You know, that's one thing you can't get from Amazon.com. Well, I bet you could get it like Dippin' Dots, but it's just not going to have the same flavor as it would if you were a mall rat.
No, we have Auntie Anne's too. It's not just, we have Auntie Anne's too. In clothes. I mean, that's been again forever since I've been in a mall, but we have Auntie Anne's here too.
All right, so I want to cover this article. It's the last article, March Madness, home sold faster than ever last month.
This is where you just say it. Look at the camera.
I know, right? Okay, that's what we'll do. 59% of homes in contract had been listed for less than 2 weeks. I looked at the camera, but producer Matt had the article up.
The audacity.
I'll try it again, producer Matt.
I think it's because of the new nickname we just gave him. So I'm sorry, buddy.
59% of homes in contract have been listed for less than 2 weeks. There you go. Now you can put up the article. Thanks, Matt.
There you go.
That's fast, y'all. In the final
and that's national, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
In the final week period, 61% of homes that found buyers did so within 2 weeks. The number of homes in contract where the seller accepted an offer within 1 week of the listing was also high at 47%. Only 33% did a year ago. Wow. But that's still a lot for a year ago because that was right when the pandy hit. So that's still pretty high for that time period. Now, I wonder if that was high for the market in general. It was 2% points. To get their hands on a property, buyers typically paid the full asking price. Indeed, a bit more on average, as the sale to list price ratio hit an all-time high of 100.4%. It's 2 percentage points lower than a year ago.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting. Wait, it's not an all-time high. If it was it was 2 percentage points lower. So it was 98.4 last year. So that's very interesting. This article is on The Real Deal. You may have to work to find it around some of the other noisy headlines there. That was a good article. So great information to pass along to your clients to let them know exactly what's happening, and maybe they should get out of the house when they list their house because they're gonna have a ton of people there and potentially a ton of offers. I was telling a seller the other day, 2 years ago, our average days on market as a company was 30, and the marketplace was about 90. And he said, what is it now? I said, well, the marketplace is hovering somewhere around 30, and ours is about 3 hours. He's like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah, so you guys got to get out. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today on the show. Dan, before we leave, would you tell everyone where they could find you?
DLudwigRocks, DLUDWIGROCKS over on, I don't post much on the FB world, but over on the IG world, I post plenty. So you can go over there and check out everything. And it's some real estate related, but I like to keep it fun, There
you go. And I don't know if you guys know this, but as you follow someone on IG, there's a little bell that appears in the top right. You can click that bell and be notified of all those posts. You can also do that on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, follow us, click the bell, like the show, comment, please. We love your comments. Thank you guys for joining us during the show. That is what makes this show different. There's no way possible I could have dropped the information that CD dropped during our show. There's no way possible I could have come up with some of the questions that you guys came up with and some of the comments that we have on the commenters, and Jeff and Dulciana, and Pete Thorpe and Melissa and Patrick Ellis with the Cinnabon contribution. So that is what we love about the show, and what makes it different is not just that you get to hear two talking heads with beautiful beards, but also all of these commenters and people adding to the show is really what makes it. So we appreciate
Yes,
you.
and if you found any value at all, go hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, make sure it's on.
That's right.
Comment down below, all that silly stuff, and also share on. You can share. You can copy that link, send to other consumers, send to other agents. Please get this out there. It increases our engagement because as of now, hold on real quick. I know we got to go, but let me do some math real quick. Can you do some calculations quick too?
Yeah. I'll calculate my side. Are we doing?
Let's see.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah. To date, we've made. It's still 0, Ray.
Yep. So far, 0 on the show. And that's not really been the purpose of the show. The main purpose of the show is to disseminate the information, hopefully right on tide. Lift all those. Also,
any value, get it out there, please.
We take tips, whatever. No. All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks again for joining us. Bye.